Well, because I don't think he's technically going to be fired. He's not going to be back as the head coach. Initially, it was being reported his contract expired tomorrow on the 1st of the year. It since has been reported, I think, with more certainty. The contract actually expires on January 13th. And you have some duties, and Brian, you can speak to this, whether you're coming back as head coach or not, unless you've been fired prior to the end of the season, of exit interviews, of meeting with the players and giving the players their evaluation, things to work on, whatever the offseason plan would be. And I think Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones feel Jason Garrett has earned the right to fully finish out the season. If he hadn't, they could have fired him during the season to try to give the team a jolt. Once you decide to let him coach the entirety of the year, unless it's a Freddie Kitchens situation where you've built up no credibility, where you've built up no equity with the team, and you just want to get it over with as soon as possible, let him finish out the exit interviews. And then I would imagine today, I think what's going to happen in that meeting is he's going to be told, your contract is not going to be renewed. We are going to start our coaching search today, but we're not going to do you the disrespect of firing you with 11 days left on your deal, because why would we do that? So to me, there is nothing odd, or there is no real chance that Jason Garrett pulls off what I think it was our friend Chuck Pagano pulled off once upon a time, where he walked into a meeting where it looked like he was going to be fired and walked out of the meeting having kept his job and gotten an extra year in his contract. I think Jason Garrett, it is a certainty. He's not the head coach of the Cowboys next year. They are just letting him finish out the string, if you will, which involves meeting with everyone on the roster, having those exit interviews, and then being told your services here are no longer needed.
I think it's strange that Jerry Jones would want him to do those exit interviews, because in those exit interviews, you're saying you did a good job this year. Here are the things you need to work on for next year. Here are the things that when you come back, we want you to be able to do. Here are the things that are going to help us win games for the next year coming. Here are the things that you need to work on. And if Jason Garrett is not going to be the guy that's going to make those decisions for the next year, he's not going to be the next head coach, why do you need to have an exit interview? I mean, there were years where I played in Philadelphia. I never had an exit interview with Andy, except for one time I said, Andy, I need to talk to you. What are the things that I want to get better at? What are the things that you need me to be able to do for the following year? So for Jason Garrett to be able to do exit interviews, to me, it doesn't make sense. I think he is doing them. Jerry Jones is doing him a bit of a courtesy by saying, hey, we'll let you stay, and maybe say bye to the guys. He's been there for a long time. Say goodbye to the fellows on the team. Say goodbye to the people in the organization, in the front office, in the building. But other than that, the decision as far as firing Jason Garrett should have already been made. In my opinion, once you didn't make the playoffs, you have already made that decision. 2-3 weeks ago, when you said, hey, I don't know that Jason Garrett is going to be our head coach, but he'll be coaching somewhere in the NFL, you've already made that decision.
It sounds like you think it's a little odd that he's coming back in for a second round of interviews. Forget with the exit interviews or whatever that is, but with Jerry Jones himself, like they didn't finish whatever conversation they were having yesterday. Do you think that leaves the door open even the slightest bit that there's a remote chance he might be coming back?
I think the thought, if I'm Jason Garrett, I'm saying, hey, I got a second opportunity to go in there and talk to the boss and say, here are all the things that I want to do better. Here are all the things I want to do differently. That's a great opportunity for Jason Garrett. If I'm Jerry Jones, again, my decision has already been made.
Yes.
I want my team to be better. We're underachieving. And what could I say to Jason Garrett at this point that I haven't already said?
Well, and I think that here is what my plan would be moving forward if I do get a contract extension. Because, again, it is not as simple as the Cowboys just letting the status quo slide. If they were to bring him back, it is with a brand new contract, a new 3 or 4 year, fully guaranteed as these coaching contracts are. That's not going to happen. I think yesterday was the day Jason Garrett was able to make his case to Jerry Jones. He then said, okay, go do your exit interviews, which to your point might actually be goodbyes rather than exit interviews, and we will talk tomorrow. I'll take under advisement what you've told me now. We'll talk tomorrow, which is now today, and that is the day Jason Garrett's going to find out what he already knows and what everyone already knows, which is he's not going to be the coach of the Cowboys anymore. He went into this year knowing that if they went 10-6, won the division, and got knocked out in the second round of the playoffs, he probably wouldn't be back. Instead, they went 8-8, missed the playoffs entirely. It is 0%. He has as much chance of being the next head coach of the Cowboys as anyone at this desk does. And in fact, I would say Brian Westbrook maybe has a 1% chance because Jerry Jones might like some of his television commentary. There is no chance Jason Garrett's the head coach of the Cowboys next year. The question is, who is that person going to be?
And by not firing him now, by maybe perhaps waiting until his contract runs out, it doesn't keep them from looking ahead to the next head coach, which I think is an important point that you made.
Right. Look, they clearly didn't want Ron Rivera. No. You could argue they've missed out on Ron Rivera, but Ron Rivera's been available for a month. While he's a person that I thought would have been a perfect fit in Dallas, that is not the person they are targeting, obviously. No one else has hired a coach. Like other people have fired coaches, and we have had other teams set up interviews. No one's going to say to the Dallas Cowboys, well, my interview calendar is now full. Everyone's going to take that meeting. Everyone's going to listen. And the question for Jerry Jones is going to be, does he want to go with someone with NFL head coaching experience? I mentioned Josh McDaniels' name yesterday. I think a lot of people are going to be mentioning that name. I'm going to mention a few other names that I think no one is mentioning because in this league, black head coaches tend to get one shot, and if they are fortunate enough to get a second shot, they never get a third. But Marvin Lewis, Jim Caldwell, Leslie Frazier, guys that I think would bring a credibility and a professionalism to that locker room, guys who all of them, Leslie Frazier made the playoffs with Christian Ponder. Marvin Lewis made the playoffs 7 times with Andy Dalton, and 6 times with Dalton, once with Carson Palmer. And Jim Caldwell, who the Lions said 9-7 and making the playoffs not good enough around here, but 3-12-1 with Matt Patricia gets you a third year. And so I know those aren't the sexiest of names. Josh McDaniels probably is the sexiest name on that list. It's that route or what I would consider the far more dangerous route, which is first-time NFL head coach, either the young offensive mind, Kellen Moore-ish, even though I don't think it'd be Kellen Moore, or someone out of college football, which has enormous boom potential, but also enormous bust potential.
The biggest sticking point, if you're a coach, no matter whether you're coming from college or the NFL, is can I handle Jerry Jones? He'll be meddling on the team. He'll be questioning every play call. He'll be wondering what happens at the end of the game. And if you're a coach, you're saying, okay, well, I can go to an organization where I know I can have a conversation with the GM. We can have a football talk and say, these are the things we want to do. That's not going to happen in Dallas. And one of the reasons why I think he's given another interview to Jason Garrett is because he knows he can control Jason Garrett. He knows that he can speak to him and say, here are the things that I want to do as the owner and GM, and this is the way we're going to move. You can have that operation with Jason Garrett. I just watched a clip of Ron Rivera talking to his team. He doesn't have that power over Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera would have been his own man in Dallas, and that wouldn't have worked with Jerry Jones. And so there's a lot of coaches on that list. Some of those coaches want power. They want the ability to pick the groceries that they're going to be the cooking at the end of the day. Some of those things don't match up with what Dallas has going on.
That's why I think there's a little issue with Jerry Jones. He wants the sexy pick and the big hire and all of it, but yet again, he also wants someone who he's going to be able, in some ways, control.
He wants the power.
The way he did, with Jason Garrett. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.